what I want to tell you is that there are no rules about grieving. There's not right grieving and wrong grieving. Just letting yourself grieve, letting yourself do what you need to do. Just a quick story. After me and my husband got home from the hospital after Samuel died, actually it was after his funeral, and we came home. We were exhausted. I was still healing physically. I was very sick. I just wanted to go lay down and sleep. It was July. We hadn't been home for the whole month because we had been in the hospital. So we had a lot of weeds. Somebody had mown our grass, but there were lots of weeds. And it was over 100 degrees. It was a very hot summer. And my husband, and I wanted to take a nap, but what he wanted to do is I'll never forget what he said. He said, I just need to go outside and pull things out of the earth. He was so angry. He felt angry. And what I want people to know is that your grief may not look the same as your spouse's, but it's still real, and you can still support each other. And it's okay to do grief the way you need to do it. Just do it. Grieve. Take care of yourself. If you need to go outside in the heat and pull weeds out of the earth because that helps, then do that. If you need to rest, rest.
Okay. Hi everyone, it's Tyann from LastingChangeTherapy.com, and this is my good friend and office mate Jill Butler. She's a licensed marriage and family therapist with over 20 years of experience in practice. And I'll go ahead and turn it over to her for her to share a little bit about her personal and professional experiences, and then we'll dive right into the 3 tips that she has to share with you on dealing with pregnancy and infant loss, coping with this heartbreaking loss. So
yeah, it's one of the most difficult things that anyone can ever experience is losing a child. And I know that because 12 years ago, my husband and I lost our son Samuel just hours after he was born. And we've continued to grieve for these 12 years, but grief changes over time, and what you need to do at the beginning and what we need to do now is different. And so I wanted to talk about what are some things you can do right after you've experienced that loss or soon after. And I care a lot about helping people who've experienced that.
Yeah, I just can't even imagine. And I could bet even after 12 years has passed for you, Jill, there's still always this part of you that grieves. And I know for me, even just hearing it, I feel a little bit of pain. So I can imagine as the person going through that, what it's been like for you. And so I think that's so valuable, hearing the tips straight from you, someone who's been through it, and it can help to just guide someone in the midst of it right now, in the midst of that suffering. So what would you share with them?
The loss, and especially immediately after, it's overwhelming. You're exhausted. You might be in physical pain. You might actually be literally healing physically. I was very sick after I had my son. And so the first thing I would say is ask a close friend to be your information person or your gatekeeper. That person who can tell other people what's going on so that you don't have to talk to your 15 friends, or you don't have to repeat that over and over when you're just trying to get through basic things during the day. Ask that person, that information person, to let everybody know how you're doing. Let everybody know when they can bring meals so that you're not answering all those questions. The weeks following Samuel's loss, I couldn't drive, and I needed to go to the doctor several times. And although my husband did take me some, he also had to go back to work. And I had that friend who was there and would ask other people to help me or take care of things. Maybe you need childcare, things like that. So that is a very practical, but I think powerful way to help yourself during those first, those initial weeks and months after the loss.
Yeah, I really love that tip. because I think that support is so crucial. And then you're just processing all of your pain and everything that's going on. You don't need to deal with kind of answering everyone's questions and facing all of that.
And I would say that support person, they want to help you. There are people around you that want to do whatever they can to support you through this time. And so it's not going to be a burden to them at all. They're going to gladly step in and take care of those things for you.
Yeah, excellent point.
Yeah.
What else do you have?
I think that it's very, very important to tell your story, especially in the beginning. That story may be the only or one of the very few connections you have with your child that you lost. And so telling that story to friends and family members about what happened, about how you feel, about what's going on, that's a way to, it's a way to be a parent, because we tell stories about our other kids, and that's a natural thing to do. But we don't always have those things to do whenever we've lost a baby or had a miscarriage or a stillbirth. But if we can tell other people what we do have to tell, it makes it concrete, and it's also a very good first step in that grieving process. It's a good way to start grieving, and it's a good way to help you start processing what you need to.
What would you say to moms, like some of the moms I work with who are going through loss? They have this feeling like people don't want to hear about it. They don't know how to deal with my story. They can't handle my emotions, and then everyone's just ignoring it. How would you kind of encourage them to share that in an environment where it feels like no one wants to face it or talk about it?
I think that there's always going to be people who it's overwhelming to, and it's hard for them. But I think that most of the time there's probably one or two people who can hear. It may not be as many people as you want it to be, but a lot of times that one person, maybe two people, can hear more of it than everyone else. But it also takes me to my third tip, and this is why I think this is really important, because it is hard for our friends and loved ones sometimes. And so connecting with other people who've lost a child is a very powerful way for you to share all of those raw, uncomfortable emotions, things that you think that you might not want to say to other people. People who've lost a child will get it, and they will hear you, and they will absorb what you're saying, and they will support you through that and encourage you to share those things. So finding a support group, and there are several around the city that are very good, and you can find that information on my website. Finding a therapist who can help you with that, where you can freely talk. Other people who've lost are going to be some of the most helpful people, because they know how raw and how uncomfortable it is for other people. And it is hard. You don't always want to hurt. You don't want to keep hurting some of your friends and family when you know they're hurting too.
Good.
And you don't feel so isolated too, because you've got this overwhelming, devastating story. Well, so do the other people in the group. And so they can hear that with you and walk with you through that. Yeah.
Those are really excellent points, Jill. And you mentioned your website.
Yes.
What is your website, and how can people get in contact with you if they're interested in your services?
My website is jillbutlercounseling.com, and you can read blog posts that I have about grieving. There's also a resource page that tells you about some books that are good to read after a loss, some of the local groups that we have, and that I know are very, very solid groups. You can also find my email or my phone number if you want to contact me and make an appointment to get some help with your grieving.